Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Fetish Cafe. I believe this is episode 4. Today, joining me is BatCat. Say hello, BatCat.
Hey, what's up?
Awesome. And how old are you, BatCat?
I am 27.
27. Excellent. Well, I'm 32, just to be completely transparent. So BatCat, what are we here talking about today?
Arguably Japan's best known or most infamously known topic, tentacles.
Yes, yes. I would argue best known in that sense for sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
define tentacle porn for me.
Um, Pretty much anything. Well, I wouldn't say anything involving tentacles, but um, I've seen a lot of it based on peril. I've seen some based on more enjoyment. I've seen tentacles involved in things that you wouldn't really consider them to be involved in. That's kind of the more weird stuff. But I would say anything, like I said, anything basically involving tentacles. So
Right. So just to kind of give a little bit more background on that, for someone who just has no idea what that is, there is such a thing called hentai or hentai,
yeah,
however you want to pronounce it.
yeah,
And it is Japanese anime porn. And what we are talking about specifically, at least for the moment, is when monsters or creatures sprout tentacles and then go to town on a girl.
pretty
That's
much, yeah,
pretty much what we're talking about here. So I just
yeah.
wanted to kind of get a basic definition. So, when did you first experience tentacle porn?
Ooh, um, I'm not really sure. I'd say about 10 to 8 years ago, 8 or 10 years ago, something like that.
Okay, so how old were you? You were about what, 16, 17?
Between 16 to 18, somewhere around there.
Okay. And, like, was it just, did you just stumble across it? Like, tell me how we got there.
Um, I, I want to say I was looking at stuff related to another fetish, and one of them involved tentacles, and I just got curious from there, and then just did some research, and that's how I stumbled upon it.
Okay. Cool. So you kind of sought it out based on other things you were already involved in.
Yeah,
And I will say for anyone listening, hentai is a very deep rabbit hole. I mean,
yeah,
as soon as you start down that path, there's just so much to go into.
yeah.
Okay, so when you first discovered it, let's argue you were 16. Did you talk to anybody about it? Did you tell anybody?
Mm, nope. I kept it all to myself.
So you didn't have any friends that you confided in or anything like
Nah,
that?
nah.
Did it feel, did you not talk about it just because it felt taboo?
Um, I wouldn't say taboo. It was more along the lines of um, I don't think there was just any point because at that point I was focusing on I was that kid in school, schoolwork over entertainment and that kind of stuff. Like I was trying to just get out of school as soon as I could, but
I hear you. Yeah.
yeah,
So
um,
so you just I don't know. When I first discovered it, because I can actually talk a little bit on this myself. When I first discovered it, I got so excited. I had a birthday party coming up, and I like it was at a laser tag arena, and me and my friends were sitting around getting ready to do the whole laser tag thing, and I was like, guys, you gotta fucking see this shit. This is insane. And so yeah, I was the poison in the well, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. I've been like that with like a couple of my friends that I've met later on. Well, I wouldn't say friends, just people that I've been talking to and kind of getting them into some other things. But I think another part of that was the whole tentacle thing had always been, and this might have also influenced my curiosity of it. As me and my cousin, we were pretty close, and we would always kind of joke about it whenever it came up. Whenever like via another joke or something. Like we used to go to the movies and all that other stuff. So whenever we'd see it, we just like joke about it. So
Right. Well, so now I'm gonna ask what what kind of drew you to it? Like, what was the factor? Like, what did you see that made you go, man? I want to see more of this. Like, what about it specifically was the thing that made you want to seek out more?
um, I think less the idea of apparel and more the idea of the victim kind of giving into it and wanting more of it and like letting it happen, more willing rather than non-willing.
Right. So, yeah, consensual. It's like
Yeah,
non-consensual to
yeah,
kind of start, but then it becomes consensual.
yeah. Or as some people would call it, dubcon, which is basically what you just said. It's turns out non, but then that swaps over to consensual.
And what was that? What was that word you used?
Dubcon.
Dubcon.
Yeah, like they usually they abbreviate it non-con, which is non-consensual con or willing, and then dubcon, which is going from one to the other.
Okay, that's a new term for me.
Yeah, I didn't really know what that meant until actually recently, whenever I was looking at another subreddit trying to find people to talk with.
So this is kind of a specific question, but I'll ask it anyway. When you were, I mean, even now, we'll just say since you've been into it, has anything you've watched ever pushed the envelope? Like, has anything ever started out okay and then whoa, no, that's just too much.
Like, yeah, I generally tend to avoid anything with um kind of like hard violence or gore, or I think it's guru, I think is the term for it. But um, actually, funny thing about that, it used to be some things, but I found myself kind of growing more tolerant of them, and I think stuff like complete penetration, um, which is when a tentacle would go in through one hole and come out the other.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
that oviposition, which is egg laying, just kind of stuff like that. And I think that has to do with talking to a couple of people recently who have been really into it. They've kind of, I mean, that got me to look at it a little bit more because I want to share things that they would be into. So that's gotten me into it a little bit now.
Okay, I understand that. Now, it kind of leads me to my next question. Like, so the things that pushed the envelope to start with, was it a weird curiosity, and then it became, I guess, not so pushing the envelope anymore?
Well, it started out because there's one site that I frequent a lot that has hundreds of thousands of images on it, and the way that they tag it can be questionable sometimes. So it's usually I'll stumble upon something that's mistagged or whatever, and it's like, eh. But then, like I said, the more that I talk with other people who are into it, and the more that it kind of grows on me, and the more that I see it from their side of view, from their point of view, like I see why they think this is hot or whatever, and then instead of me seeing it and just wondering why is this here, why does this exist?
Right, right. Well, so the point of this show that I'm trying to get across is, um, let me back up. The next question I want to ask is, so did tentacle porn start leading to just watching hentai?
Um, funny thing about that, I don't really watch hentai. I'm actually not one for hentai or porn videos or anything like that. I prefer stories, images, and gifs. Like I'll watch clips of it, but not full on hentai or whatever.
Huh, okay.
And to answer the question, not really, just because the from what I found, the majority of the hentai out there involving tentacles isn't really. what I'm looking for. It's more that's usually more parallel stuff, unless less willing, less consensual.
Right. I get that. So when it's so is it just a complete turn off when it's non-consensual? I mean, I know that's an oversaturation of tentacle porn is non-consensual stuff.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's a complete like instant turn off. It's just kind of a this isn't really my cup of tea. I mean, like you do you, but this is just not for me. So I'll just go find something else, kind of thing.
Right, right, right. Okay. I find that interesting. So you don't actually watch any hentai?
Nah, like I don't know what it is. I just like I said, I just prefer the pictures and the stories and stuff.
I mean, yeah, of course. Especially with a story, you get more imagination involved.
Oh yeah.
I completely understand that. So this next question, I guess, doesn't really count, but I'll ask it anyway. As as someone, and I do watch hentai, but as someone who did watch hentai, did you ever seek out the live action tentacle porn stuff?
Um, is that like the kind of like the Japanese kind of ones where it's generally involved like a schoolgirl or a I can't remember them now,
Well,
but nah.
okay. Yeah, well, what I was talking about exactly? I want to say it was a live action Le Blue Girl film, if I'm not mistaken, and it actually had some tentacle porn in it, and it was like live action. So it's just I don't know. I didn't know if you saw any of that stuff out and how you felt if you felt any differently about that versus what you're used to.
No, I haven't actually seen that, and I'll have to go look it up after we're done here.
I would recommend it. It's an interesting trip to see it in live action and see how they portray that kind of thing. So did was tentacle porn? You said other stuff led to tentacle porn. From that point on, did it lead to something you didn't expect? Like, did it lead to more stuff?
um, kind of, but not really. I don't think in the sense that you're meaning, because, like I said, that site that I made, it's got hundreds of thousands of images, and I just stumbled across other images. I mean, I guess technically it did, because there was like that. That's where the whole slime thing and the boar thing and some other things that there's just like I said, there's hundreds of thousands of images on there. So I mean, I was bound to find a few other things
Well,
that
yeah,
piqued my curiosity, so to speak.
right, right. So did you seek out any kind of community for this kind of thing to get some like, I guess, like-minded people together?
Um, no, not really. And I think because that site had a kind of a community of its own where a lot of the same people would be posting and making comments and stuff, and they had a forum at one point, and it's just that. Mm, yeah, I mean, nah.
So, so what I'm getting from you, would it be a fair statement, Batcat, to say that you weren't really looking for a community or like-minded individuals. You were just happy with what you had.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I actually like that. Because from a personal standpoint, and one of the other reasons I do this show is when I first discovered what I was really into, which I have a huge foot fetish. It's a big deal for me. Um, when I discovered that, I I kind of craved a community because I just felt so strange.
Yeah,
And so another reason that I want to do this show is to show that you aren't so strange. There is a community. But
yeah,
what I find interesting from talking to you is that maybe not everybody needs that.
yeah.
Maybe not everybody needs a community. So that's interesting, and that's kind of a new perspective for me. So I feel like we're rounding the corner on this thing. Is there anything else you would say to somebody listening to this?
Um, pretty much what you just said. I mean, if you're going to be like me, you don't really feel like you need to find a community, then that's fine. But I mean, if you want to, if you feel like you need to find a community, I mean, there's always Google. You can always search up some things and um, see like uh, one of my other fetishes that I've got. Actually, I did kind of seek out a community just because of the fact that it was difficult to find stuff for it. But that could be another reason that you want to find a group of people because then you could have more content to consume, so to speak. But um, nah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for me.
Okay, excellent. Do you have any websites you want to plug? Like anything you would like that you maybe creatively work on that you would like to plug
Um,
before we go?
would it be fine if I plug it in my main site that main source or whatever, the one that I was talking about?
Sure, if you want to. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, it's well, ironically called tentaclerape.net. So,
TentacleRape.net.
yep.
I'm sure that's going to be a scary something for everybody to go to. But I mean, you've heard the conversation here. He's not into non-consensual stuff, so I'm sure there's something there for everybody.
Yeah, like I said, there's hundreds of thousands of images. There's almost a countless amount of tags. There's something there for everyone. So,
Well, that's awesome. I'm really excited to do more coverage on hentai because there's just so many facets of it, and that this is just the first step that I feel like is a very common step for hentai. So I really appreciate
yeah,
you coming on the show and talking about it with me.
yeah, not a problem.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. That wraps up this episode, and I hope you have a wonderful day. BatCat, thank you again.
Not a problem.